There's not an expiration date on when you're allowed to forgive somebody for something. If it's too close to home at the moment and if you don't feel that there's somebody in your life that's adding value at that moment, it's okay to put a pause on a friendship. It's okay to put a pause on saying I'm sorry or I forgive you on either side.
Hi, and welcome to Girls Gone Gritty. We're a week out before Christmas, and we're bringing a little flavor today. If you can see Jen's hat, it's Santa's favorite, and I have the option of being naughty or nice. So maybe I'll be nice for now.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. She can
That
turn on a dime if she wants to. That's the fun thing about that.
kind of feel yourself up to it. Today we are coming with big smiles because it's the hustle and bustle of this time of year with a beautiful white winter wonderland out the door. The snow that we had put me in the mood, a lot of fires and present wrapping. I took advantage of some downtime when it was beautiful and quiet.
It gives people permission to not do things. It gives people permission to do amazing things. We both took a hike in the snow, which was quiet and still, and the sky was so blue. And literally, I felt like it was a simulation. That's how beautiful it was.
It was so beautiful. It was like 30 degrees, so it was warm. We had a massive snowball fight, which was hysterical, including beaming Moose, my dog. We captured that. I might have to post that video. It's very funny.
So fun. But the season of being in the mood can be challenging because sometimes you're put into social situations that you don't really want to be in, or you're dealing with somebody that maybe you've had past issues with. And we've covered this in our episodes prior, but we're really going to dive deep today into the sorry. But before we get to that,
we have Jen with our top 3 headlines.
First one, if you're in California, you know about this. Waymo delivers an early Christmas gift, a baby in one of the self-driving cars, as the data showed unusual activity in the backseat.
First of all, having a car that drives itself scares me. Secondly, the fact that they're watching everything that we're doing in that car. You know, if you're getting busy in the backseat, look out. The fact that she's having a baby in the backseat, maybe it worked out for her, but when aren't we being watched?
Yeah. And to be perfectly honest, how does this person who's pregnant get in a driverless vehicle? That would be the last thing that I would do. I would want a human being if I'm potentially going to give birth to a baby.
She's going to tout it as a great thing because it probably went right to the hospital.
I don't know. This tech is crazy. All right. Number 2, speaking of tech, are diamonds still a girl's best friend, even if they're grown in a lab?
I think there's going to be a lot more drip. Everywhere you look, people are going to be blinged out because they're so much more affordable. And in the big picture, does it really matter if it's lab grown or not? The non-lab grown are always going to hold their value. But when you're walking on the street or you're at a party or you're just cruising around and you have diamonds on you, who's going to discern the difference?
It's a double-edged sword because part of it is you want to have something that you're not worried about losing. You know, if you have a 2-carat diamond ring, they can run upwards of, $20,000, and the lab grown ones can be around 5. So God forbid you lost it, or even worse, it got stolen. You obviously have less of an investment, but it's getting to a point where you don't know what anything is real. How do I know it's real?
That's what made diamonds special. And that's what made people hold out or wait for the engagement ring. I just feel like it's going to oversaturate the market. But I think that they can become girls' best friends readily, easily now. She can have a lot of them.
Your alternate best friend. You have multiple best friends.
Exactly.
It's a good thing. And number 1, a stiff arm with a smile. The Indiana quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, is our Heisman Trophy winner.
Thank God. I feel like this kid is such a class act. It's the first time the Indiana Hoosiers have ever won a Heisman. He had a perfect season. He dedicated his Heisman Trophy to his mother, who has MS and has been a symbol of strength. She never complains about her situation. And I have watched the family dynamic. And of course, the public voted for this class act who gives props to his mom for making him who he is today.
Yeah.
And he had 2,392 votes compared to Diego Pavia's middle finger that he gave to all the voters on his social media account.
He never made it about himself ever. The energy in which they created this team, and the coach from JMU, and unsung on so many levels, who built this dynasty now, that now rivals their basketball team, is going to be so much fun to watch the next few years, because they're not going anywhere. They're actually almost the antithesis of the NIL. They want to build a program. And I love that.
The guy threw 2,980 yards. He had 33 touchdowns and ran for 6 scores himself. I mean, he's no slouch. He is a product of the way he was raised. And it's a beautiful gift for his mother to have been sitting there watching her son get this accolade that he turned around and gave back to her selflessly.
So it was so beautiful.
Amazing.
Amazing. All right. Well, that wraps our top 3 for the 18th of December. So, talking about your parents and the way they raised you, and the manner in which you handle yourself, it brings us to our next topic and episode today. It's a challenging thing that we all have to find in our heart at some point. And it started when you were a little kid. It started for us when you had your first fight with your best friend. Are you okay with saying I'm sorry? And where in your heart do you allow forgiveness?
It's a lot of people's Achilles heel. It's very hard to say I'm sorry or to admit that you're wrong. In fact, I'm going to take my naughty and I'm going to make it nice now, since we're talking about how powerful it is to be able to forgive. And we're not saying forgive and forget, because it's hard to forget when somebody has hurt you, or you felt pain, or suffered something pretty monumental. But it is very good to accept, turn the page, move on, and allow forgiveness to enter your heart. Living with the adverse requires a lot of energy, and it's an energy sucker. So I think what we want to explain, everybody knows what forgiving is, but it's a conscious decision to release resentment and negative feelings towards someone that has wronged you. So you are making the decision, okay, you know what? I'm going to forgive this person. And it's a big decision to make. It's a powerful internal process for personal liberation and peace. Does not mean you reconcile or you excuse or you forget. It just means that you're transferring the hurt so that it doesn't define you anymore. And it's a process.
Yeah. And it can feel cathartic if it's done in the right way. To Farley's point, it's not an easy situation to forgive somebody who's really wronged you and has hurt your human being and friendship. And in my house, we always talk about the things that you get. And one of them is love in a friendship, right? I may always love you, but I don't have to like you right now. And I don't have to agree with you right now. And we can have a moment where we're not on the same page. What I do believe is trust and respect, they are built. And when that has been eroded in a friendship, it's sometimes hard to get past that. And getting past that is what we all want, because if you do have time to spend and you're letting things that happened in the past hold you back, and it's in the back of your brain, and you're not able to consciously be present with that person because you're thinking, geez, the last time I was with them, they did not act as a friend would. But how do you get past that? How do you work through that? We've talked about this with family and friends.
I'm going through something right now that's pretty interesting. I lost a friendship at my wedding. It was 25 years ago. I had somebody that was very near and dear to me that came to my wedding with energy that I did not need present at my wedding. I couldn't make it about other things. It was about my husband and I getting married, and I didn't want to bring in any other dynamics.
That should not have to be said. Red flag number 1. You're inviting somebody to your wedding that is not making it about you.
Well, that's, what I will say is I had 2 very, very close friends, and one friend dated somebody for, let's call it 10 years, and they were no longer together. And my other friend started dating this person and actually ended up getting married to my original friend's boyfriend. It's complicated, and they're still married to this day. So it was meant to be on many levels, but it just didn't need to be showcased at my wedding. And the 2 of them would have been my maids of honor, but I couldn't have them standing up there next to each other with weirdo energy looming on my wedding day. I had to make a decision, and the decision was, you're happily married and you just had a child. So I'm going to bestow the honor on the other friend that was being a big person on some level because she had to suck up the fact that friend number two married her boyfriend of 10 years plus. So that was one little complication. But then some of the behavior spilled into the events of the day. And I did not allow this person to bring their child to a black tie wedding. And I felt like that was going to be another jab at friend number one. First of all, there aren't children and infants coming to black tie weddings. And secondly, in this particular situation, it would have been hurtful. And that was not what my wedding was about. So I had to draw a line in the sand. And from there, that line just kind of got blurred and ugly. And we ended up not speaking post wedding for 25 years. Mm. And this person lived with my family and was very close to my parents, and we were like sisters. But on one of the most important days of my life, if you can't show up and be truly organically happy for me and make it about what you are attending instead of all the baggage at that moment, it was something that was easy to walk away from. And I really never looked back. And we ran into each other at an all-class reunion recently. I didn't think I would see her. It didn't even factor into my brain. And when I saw her, I almost didn't recognize her at first. But then when I did, I was happy to see her because we grew up together. So it was nice to run into her, and we spoke briefly. And then we were kind of magnetized to each other for the rest of the night, even though we weren't hanging thick as thieves. And we're in this process right now of totally unraveling without having a discussion about anything serious. But do you go backwards to go forwards? Do you go backwards and discuss what happened to dissolve the friendship? Because when you look at the stages of forgiving, number one is recall. So I am recalling what happened 25 years ago. Number two is to empathize what she might have been going through at that moment and not make it just about me, even though it was my wedding day. I'm in a different place right now where I can go back and I can analyze why she might have wanted to show up with her child and be front and center next to Jen. I understand it more so now. Number three, commit to what type of a decision you're making. Are you willing to forgive and let bygones be bygones? Or are you going to get everything all stirred up again and get crazy and then cause even more hurt and pain? Number four is let it go. Mm-hmm. Are you prepared to let it go? And number five is forgive. So I feel like I'm in the recall, empathize, commit, let it go phase. But part of me does want to communicate so that we could understand both sides. And it's not fresh paint. It's something that we can both step back and explain what her side was and what my side was so that we can understand each other. And it's not as painful. It's not like putting salt in the wound because it's 25 years ago. And really, life is about forgiving. It truly is. If you are a Christian, then that's something that God expects. And I am definitely a Christian and I have forgiven some big things in the past. And I wear a smile on my face and I don't bring it up all the time. I think I'm very capable of forgiveness.
And to your point, forgiving is not necessarily forgetting, and forgiving is something that we aspire to, but it doesn't have to be something that happens right now. There's not an expiration date on when you're allowed to forgive somebody for something. If it's too close to home at the moment, and if you don't feel that there's somebody in your life that's adding value at that moment, it's okay to put a pause on a friendship. It's okay to put a pause on saying, I'm sorry, or I forgive you on either side. It's complicated when you have limited time, effort, and energy on things. And there's a situation where you feel like you have to come back and revisit it all the time. That can be a lot of work that maybe you're just not ready for. You don't have to rush. It's a process. It feels like the stages of grief where you have to acknowledge how you're feeling.
My father just passed and she was very, very close to my parents. And so I think that that's also something that is bringing us together because, of course, she would be very saddened by hearing that I lost both of my parents in the last 18 months. but she didn't know it when it happened. So a lot of times you get that phone call out of nowhere from somebody on big monumental moment when somebody passes or of that nature. It didn't happen like that. It happened more organically, to tell you the truth. But I have had situations where in the moment it was too much and the person was not willing to have a conversation to try to understand what had happened because she was too close to it at that moment. And we did lose 3 years of a friendship, but we circled back and we're in a great place now. And I had another friend, and I'm somebody that has my same friends that I've had my entire life. I don't fight with my friends, but one of my closest friends who was in my wedding.
She only had one.
I only had one wedding. I had 2 bridesmaids.
You're welcome, Pat.
And the other bridesmaid that replaced my friend number 2, when she got married, her husband was not a huge fan of me because I reminded him of everything that she stood for prior to them being married, which was just fun and freedom and normal stuff. And he did not allow her to be friends with me for almost 17 years. And it was because I was pregnant. They were trying to get pregnant. She was Catholic. She married a Jewish man. And somebody had just given me an Elsa Peretti cross, a little Elsa Peretti necklace. And I wore it for a week and I got pregnant. And I thought, man, this is a good luck charm. And my girlfriend was raised Catholic her entire life. And it wasn't even like this religious thing. It was more like, I got pregnant within a week of wearing this. I'm sending it to you. Hopefully it'll work for you. And her husband took it like I was an anti-Semite, which was terrible because I'm so not. I welcome everybody in my life. I like all kinds of people. I'm not a bigot, but in that moment, he prevailed. And it took us 17 years to recross paths, and it was meant to be the way we did. And we've been in each other's lives now for the last, 10 years, and we picked up right where we left off. And unfortunately, her husband committed suicide. So it took that to allow us to find each other again. Don't put up a wall.
Yeah, be open to the possibility that you might be more willing to forgive than you thought. Having said that, even though you can put a pause in forgiveness, just know that you never know what tomorrow brings either. We never know when any of us is going to be no longer available in any capacity. And you may not have tomorrow to say you're sorry. So you do have to weigh the importance of the relationship, the friendship, the family member into your day-to-day life. And if that is something that disappeared and went away forever, then we found our answer. And to Farley's point, I have family members and friends that I haven't talked to in years. And I think about them in a loving way. I wish them all good things, but they are not for me right now. And I'm sure I'm not for them right now. There's just a impasse at a relationship, and I am not angry. And I think that's one nice thing about giving things a little bit of a pause, especially when you're in a situation. I'm no longer angry about things. When things happened initially, I was very vehemently pissed off because of what had happened. And now, again, seeing both sides of a story, there's 2 sides every story, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And sometimes it doesn't lie in the middle at all. Sometimes it's an outlier and you didn't even know what happened. And the 2 perceptions of what went on are so opposite that you can't believe that you didn't understand one another. Communication is key. Farley and I have had situations where we've gotten to a little bit of a battle because we've been texting, and the texting the tone is really hard because
very easy to misconstrue.
Very easy. So if you are at an impasse with somebody, I would say make sure your text isn't 10 lines long and ramble, because you don't know what the other person's brain is that's reading it. They may read an inflection that you didn't intend. They may think it's being very short when you're trying to be matter of fact. But I would say, if you need to put a pause in it, put a pause in it. Put your phone down. Don't make a knee-jerk reaction via text. Don't do a post that can be
reactionary. Sleep on it for 24 hours. I am definitely a reactionary person because I'm so honest. It's like what you see is what you get. If I get hurt, it's like I just got jabbed. I can't fake it. And I can't hold my breath and say, okay, I'm going to not say anything for 24 hours, which is a very good rule of thumb. But I'm also somebody that likes to just go right at it. If there's a problem, I want to address it, because I think too much time makes a little problem become a big problem. And I like to, grab it by the bullhorns and address it immediately and make it go away within a day or two if I can, because that's just my nature.
Well, and you don't want to hold on to it because that's also who you are. And I feel the same because I will hold on to it and I can feel it. I'm very in tune. I can feel it in my body. And I tend to hold things in my heart chakra. And I literally feel like somebody's sitting on my chest when I'm in a situation like that. It feels terrible. And then it also dilutes every other interaction I have after that because I'm remunerating on the conversation and wait, how did it get from point A to point B to point X, Y, B, D, Q?
It's toxic energy. It's negative energy. Maybe one of our New Year's resolutions, all of us across the world, should be to own it, to be able to say, I'm sorry, and not look at it like it's the hardest thing to do.
Right. And be careful with, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Oh, please don't do that. Please don't give me that underhanded, what is it called when you're
backhanded compliment?
It's a backhanded compliment.
Not really.
No,
though.
It's passive aggressive. It's passive aggressive. That actually will stoke a flame in me even more. If I can tell that you mean it or you don't give me lip service and try to pacify the situation. I will know in a second. One of my favorite songs is Don Henley's The Heart of the Matter. And I'm just going to read one of the lyrics that applies to all of us. There are people in your life who've come and gone. You know they've hurt your pride. You better put it all behind you because life goes on. You keep carrying that anger and it'll eat you up inside. And that's what we're talking about. I haven't had this glaring fire, burning ever since my friend number 2 and I took a 25-year break. But I'm old enough now, we've matured, and I think that this is what is supposed to happen. We were supposed to run into each other and recognize that we literally grew up together and we're not in each other's lives anymore. And it's sad. It's time to have a conversation and move in a different direction. And if you're lucky enough, you'll be able to do this with most people that you have conflict with. And if you're not, then trying to bury the hatchet can be a very painful, long nightmare. And it's so much easier to own it and apologize, or even to just to have a conversation to say, we are worth trying to resolve things, whether it's your friendship, whether it's a marriage, whether you're working peers that sit next to each other in a cubicle and you're going to have to continue looking at each other every day. Maybe you're going to agree to disagree, but it's the nicer way to just be open enough to have a conversation to try to resolve whatever caused somebody else pain.
Yeah. Because
be the bigger person.
It's important to understand that we will never know somebody's true backstory or where they came from just before you walked into the room. There are so many issues that people hold on to that you will be unaware of. And even some of your best friends, you may not know what's going on in their lives. They may not be at a place where they want to share everything. So there's more to the story most of the times when there's toxic things that happen between people that are close.
You have to be, evolved enough to look past it, recognize, hey, it can't be fixed. The damage is done. I got really hurt and my feelings, definitely are hurt. You hurt me to my core, but I like you enough. I love you enough. I care about you enough to say, okay, but I can live with this and I can put it over here. I can, put it in my filing cabinet and shut it and continue to move on. Mm-hmm. And if you are an evolved person, you can try to find that within you. It's there. Let that flame ignite. There's a lot of family members that I've had issues with in the past. And if we didn't mend fences, if we just lit a torch and burn the bridge, it would affect so many people. It's not just you and the person that you have the falling out with. It affects people. Your kids see you hold on to a grudge, or they hear you talking about it and it takes up a lot of time. It's toxic just talking about and feeding the energy, and it just keeps, it keeps the negativity alive. So be a good example if you can, and suck it up and be willing to turn the page and maybe be the bigger person and put your hand out in an offering of a truce. And you don't have to forget, like we said, and it doesn't take away the fact that something really significant happened, but forgiveness is an admirable characteristic.
Absolutely. And let's be honest, it can take time. You can't expect things to go back to the way they were. They won't. It's in the past. So you may now have a new path that you're on with this person because of the forgiveness that you've given.
It takes some grit
and
to forgive and forget.
Yeah, it
does.
Be
gritty.
And it takes time to restore the pillars of what's important. And if somebody's hurt you in that way, that means you don't trust and respect them anymore, or they don't trust and respect you anymore. It can go both ways.
We're only human.
You have to build those back and find ways to do so. And I do believe that God, the universe, provides you opportunities to do these things when you're ready. So
I literally bounced into 2 of the 3 friends that I've discussed here where our paths recrossed when you would least expect it, truly. And we're back, so it was meant to be. And if you're not fortunate enough to cross paths because somebody lives across the world, or you live in different states, or whatever it is, this is a way for you to put the white flag up. You can say it's been long enough.
Yeah. And so you take the opportunity to show up for your reunions, to go to places that maybe you're a little uncomfortable with, to put yourself in a position where you can find those people that you are meant to reconnect with, because we all want to just be connected and we want to feel more value in the relationships that we have. And Christmas and the holidays give the opportunity for these people that you maybe don't touch every day.
Like, don't avoid a certain social situation because you're afraid that you're going to see that person or a friend of that person. Put yourself out there. If something is eating away at you, or when you think about it, it makes you sad, then address it. And there is this new term that Jen and I were talking about, and it's called neurodivergent. And it's a real thing. Differing in mental or neurological function from what is considered typical or normal. So people have been diagnosed as being neurodivergent. And what this means is that they were never correctly diagnosed with something that they potentially could have had their whole entire life that makes them read things differently, feel differently. It's usually within the autistic spectrum disorders, but there are people out there that haven't been diagnosed and they might self-medicate. It's not like Tourette's where somebody's saying GFY and you have to recognize that that's just part of their disorder. But there are people that might truly have something that they can't help, that doesn't have a label, that makes them capable of the behaviors that you've been the recipient of. So educate yourself a little bit and recognize and think back on the history. Did this person ever do anything that was a red flag in the past? Or what did their family dynamic look like? Are their parents still together? Did they go through a divorce? Look at the circumstances and try to remove yourself from whatever the actual crisis was and look at the contributing factors. There's always contributing factors. And I think that that will help you peel back the onion if it's a really complicated situation and recognize from a humanity standpoint, okay, you know what? She was going through a tough time, or this was happening at the same time. And you might be able to look at it through a different lens.
Yeah.
So look up that definition, neurodivergent. I do believe that our generation, we weren't so willing to run out and get labels put on every disorder or issue that your strange Aunt Sheila had or your Uncle Jerry. We all had people in our lives.
They were just weird.
They were just weird. But, weird might really mean like something undiagnosed, and that leads to social falling outs.
And weird is good. And everything doesn't have to have, whatever is your diagnosis. You don't have to make that a reason for behavior or causality. It just explains and gives you a little bit of the backstory.
Absolutely.
So,
and we
all have our issues. I have my own. I have lots of issues. It's all good. And the people that know me, they take those issues and they accept them, and they try and take some of them and leave them over here, and the other ones they want to bring in. But just have some grace and have some gratitude. Keep some space for people to allow forgiveness in, and invite forgiveness in this holiday season, because it feels so good.
It does.
It feels so good.
I'm excited about it. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's not going to fix everything.
No.
But it's worth traveling down that
shot.
Road. Exactly.
What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
It's good. So thinking about giving it a shot, who is our Got Grit winner of the week?
Well, I'll tell
Oh
you,
God, no pun intended, but it's actually gotten to be insane.
it's disturbing. So, big shout out to Ahmed Al Ahmed, who is a 43-year-old fruit shop owner who threw himself into the line of fire and tackled one of the hideous, disgusting human beings that was waging war against innocent human life on Bondi Beach in Australia. My daughter's in Australia. I can't tell you how many people reached out to me to make sure that Mac wasn't on the beach enjoying a beautiful summer day when this hideous shooting massacre happened. I'm sure many of you have seen the video. This guy got involved. He didn't just sit back and watch. He suffered 4 to 5 gunshot wounds and is in the hospital right now. And I think he went through one successful surgery. But it brings me back to that hideous visual of the Ukrainian girl getting stabbed on the subway. We can sit back and not do anything, or we can get involved. Today, we posted on our Instagram, and I'm going to continue to post instances of humanity where people are filming these hideous things that are happening with their cameras instead of lending a hand. This guy, Ahmed, got involved, didn't think twice about it, and saved countless lives because that guy just kept on reloading and firing at anybody and everybody. So hats off to somebody that decided to take a stance, even if it meant, look at Todd Beamer. You look at 9/11, you look at these heroes that gave their lives or jumped in to help save other lives. And to me, that's a true hero. So I feel like, Ahmed, thank God for you. And our hearts go out to all these senseless, needless, horrible shootings that have been happening in Brooklyn, at Brown University. It's devastating, and there's no excuses for this behavior.
No, it's not okay. And it actually leads us to hopefully what can be a little bit of a restorative awareness song of the week. So, Jesus, can you take the time to throw a drowning man a line? Peace on earth. Tell the ones who hear no sound, whose sons are living in the ground. Peace on earth. No whos or whys, no one cries like a mother cries for peace on earth. She never got to say goodbye, to see the colors in his eyes. Now he's in the dirt. Peace on earth.
You too. They say it exactly the way it needs to be said.
It's an incredible song that touches on a lot of the topics that we talked about today all year long. It doesn't have to be that difficult. Treat as you'd like to be treated. Treat others with respect.
Forgive
and forgive and understand we only have this one life, and we need to treat life with the sanctity and the gift that it truly is. And we need to stop hurting one another with words to start. We need to start being encouraging with our words, because it starts with your words, and your words lead to actions, and your actions are powerful. So we want to thank you so much for listening and tuning in this holiday season. We're going to be here on Christmas. Don't forget to tune in on Christmas Day. We'll have a little fun, a little fire, little festivities. Maybe even we'll have a little holiday cocktails. I don't know.
I think so. I think
it has to happen.
I think that mending fences is gritty. So think about a fence that needs a little bit of a repair and make that your target for 2026. Doesn't have to happen tomorrow. Just start thinking about it.
Well, and to Farley's point, if you have somebody that you want to mend a fence with, just shoot them this episode. Have them take a listen, and maybe that's the catalyst in which you create those beautiful moments with people that you know, love, and trust, and that need to be back in your life. So thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you sharing and amplifying our message with people that you think need to tune in and be gritty.